Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my little advice for freshers. This is for anybody who is coming to university next year. I am a second year psychology student at the University of Manchester. I just finished my first year, which I thankfully passed with a first. And these are just some things that I wish I knew before I started uni, or just some tips and advice that I found really helped me going through uni. Also, just a little bit of context, I'm 20, so I took a gap year. So I was coming into university after a gap year, a break from learning, so this might be slightly different if you're freshly 18. But still, some people asked me for this, so I thought, you know what, let me drop my pearls of wisdom. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about transitioning from A-level learning to university lectures and university learning, socializing and friendships, homesickness and tips for homesickness, nightlife and drinking, and just some stuff to bring with you. So first of all, socializing and friends. If you are stressing about making friends, please don't. I honestly can't put into words like how many people are at university, how many different people are at university. I know that can be a bit overwhelming, especially if you're coming from a small town, but honestly, there are so many people that you will find the people who click with you and the people who like the same things as you, same interests and all that. Guaranteed, your people are there. It may be hard, but honestly, you just need to give it time. You will find your friends and your friends will find you. Honestly, if I could give any advice with friendships, it's just see this as an opportunity to really do some self-discovery. As cringe as that may sound, you are probably going into university alone, and although that's scary, also see that as an opportunity to really find out your own likes and dislikes. Although it's scary not knowing anyone and nobody knowing you, that also gives you so much freedom, and it's nothing like school where you're going to be seeing these people every day. So honestly, if you meet people and you don't get along with them, you don't like their behavior, you don't like what you're doing, then it's so easy to remove that person from your life and you probably will never see them again unless you run into them very unoccasionally. Somebody asked if I have any red flags. I don't think so. I don't really have like any specific red flags that I look for in people, and honestly that would be different for other people, but they'll definitely appear. And like I said, if you see any red flags that you don't like, bye bye. Like, you will find your people. It takes time, but you will. Linking on to that, some tips for homesickness. Look, I went to boarding school when I was 14 years old, so trust me, I understand homesickness. And I've got to say, even with university, even though I went to boarding school and I'd lived away from home since 14, I still got a little bit homesick, I won't lie, because anytime you go to a new place, it doesn't feel like home. Bruh. Which is why you get homesick. One of the things that they did with us in boarding school in order to like combat homesickness was they didn't allow you to go home or your parents to come up and visit for the first month that you were away. And honestly, I really recommend that, because even though it may be difficult not seeing your family and not going home, by sticking it out, you're really forcing yourself to adapt to the new environment. Basically, you are more scared and feel more homesick because the place that you're in doesn't feel like home, but that comes with time and that also comes with effort. So just some tips for making it: explore the city you're in, explore the new city, find your coffee shops that you like, find your restaurants, your shops, make your university room and your uni accom feel like a home. Spend time decorating it, acquiring things that you like so that it becomes your little safe haven, your little safe space. Go out there, socialize, have a positive mindset, and just stick to making this new place feel like home, and watch the homesickness fade away, honestly. And very soon you'll go back home and you'll miss your city. I'm home for summer right now and I can't wait to get back to Manchester because I just love Manchester so much. And just through it all, kind of have the mindset that nothing is set in stone. Unlike school, university is a lot more flexible. And even just with like transitions and moving, give it a go. But if you don't like the city, if you don't like the university you're in, you can transfer. So just have a positive mindset, and if it's really not working out for you, don't stress, because you can change. Honestly, growing up, going to uni, it's just as much about finding out what you dislike as what you like. So you're gonna have to make some errors in order to kind of find yourself and find your place. Do you know what I mean? Okay, now some study tips. I was not ready for the speed of lectures at all. I thought they would ease us in. know, we immediately started learning new content. So I will just say, obviously this is dependent on your course, but if you haven't taken an A-level in what you're studying, maybe just do like a very quick brush over of the A-level content for the subject. This may be more specific to psychology, but just familiarize yourself with like key A-level concepts. But yeah, how I rectified the speed of lectures. I started prepping for lectures beforehand. So we would get sent the PowerPoints before the lecture. I would go through and I would make notes so that when I was in the actual lecture, I wasn't making notes for the first time. Instead, I was adding to my notes that I already had, so I could actively listen in lectures, jot down added things that the lecturer was saying that wasn't on the PowerPoints and all that, and actually really pay attention to points that I knew I was going to be more confused about. Because for me, I can't make notes and listen at the same time and properly ingest the content. Now, I know this is a bit extra and I would be lying if I said that I always stayed on top of it, but if I didn't, they also give you like lecture printouts. So I would download them, and then when I was in the lecture, I would just add to the lecture notes and then make my actual notes after the lecture, because just I could not do both at the same time. Also, this is kind of obvious, but just staying on top of content makes it so much easier. At the end of the week, I would go back over the lecture content for all of my modules, just read over them and make some quick flashcards so that it was a lot easier when it came to studying, and also just gives you that retention of content. It literally takes 1 hour out of your weekend and it will make your life so much easier. Honest truths, I didn't do any of the suggested reading. This may have just been for my course, but I looked over some of it at the beginning and it was pretty much just repeating all that we got told in the lecture. If I didn't understand something, maybe I'd do the reading for it then to get another perspective on it, but honestly, I think you could get by without doing all the suggested reading. If I'm being so real, it went in one ear and out the other, and I like never looked at it. Yes, attendance is important, but you can catch up on lectures. This is kind of what I mean about university being more flexible, because if your university is like mine, they will have lecture podcasts, which are recordings of the lectures that then get uploaded after. So if you do miss a lecture, you can quite easily catch up on it. So don't stress too much about attendance, but at the same time, like I said, try and stay on top of content and actually catch up on any lectures that you miss, because you can fall behind pretty easily. On a whole, especially with first year, university is so much more relaxed than A-levels, which, although that is such a joy and a blessing, don't get too comfortable, because you can pretty easily and then you'll fall behind. Don't take the lighter schedule for granted, but at the same time, enjoy it. University learning on a whole, you're definitely a lot more responsible for your own learning, so take that as you will. And lastly, ChatGPT, don't use it for coursework, as tempting as it is, because even though it may be a quick fix, you can very easily become way too reliant on it and form bad habits. It is a slippery slope. When it comes to coursework and writing essays, try not to use ChatGPT and use thinking power instead. Trust me, your dissertation will thank you. However, ChatGPT was also my best friend at uni, especially when it came to studying for exams and stuff. Unlike A-levels, you don't have any exam resources because your lecturers write your exams and it's based off your university's personalized course and course content. I really struggled to find any study resources or practice tests until one of my friends gave me the brilliant idea of downloading your lectures to ChatGPT and getting ChatGPT to ask you exam questions based on your lecture content. Then you were getting personalized exam questions based on your university's course, which is bloody fantastic, and honestly is probably the reason why I got a first in my first year. So yeah, definitely use ChatGPT, but be careful, as I said, and I would be lying if I said I didn't use ChatGPT for the occasional research summarization. No one has time to be reading all those freaking research studies, like, please. Now, going out, nights out, drinking, being sober, yada yada yada. Obviously, freshers, going out, drinking, huge culture in uni. I just want to say, anybody who is stressing about being sober at uni, studies have shown that soberness is so much more common amongst our generation, so please do not worry. And not only is it less common, I feel like the stigma around like soberness being boring has also definitely faded. So if you don't want to drink, do not feel shame for not drinking at all. Personally, I actually don't like drinking a whole bunch either. I know because of my gap year, I was a little bit older than some other people who were in uni, but I really didn't go out very much my first year. I did maybe at the beginning just to like make friends and socialize, but like come January, I was like, my bed, please. At uni, because there are so many people, there is no norm. Do you know what I mean? Like, you will find a group who don't want to go out. If you don't want to go out, you'll find your group of people who don't drink and want to stay sober, and you can do your stuff with them. Like in my comm, there were people who were going out like literally every night, and people who didn't drink. That is so common. However, I will say, if you do enjoy nightlife, start getting excited for uni, because there is an abundance of nightlife, especially in Manchester. And a little tip for specifically Manchester students: do not sleep on Canal Street in Northern Quarter for good nights out. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, and then last but not least, just some things to bring to uni. I've had quite a few people ask whether I would recommend a laptop or an iPad, and because I am very fortunate, I do have both, so I feel like I have a good opinion on this. For me, if I could choose only one, I would choose my laptop. In lectures, I started using my iPad, quickly switched over to my laptop, because as I said, lectures move fast, and the only way for me to keep up with lectures is by typing. And personally, I really hate iPad keyboards. I have yet to find an iPad keyboard that I like. So I just much prefer the keyboard on my Mac. So I would just take my laptop to uni and type my notes. But that is specific to my course, because my course has written notes mainly. If you're taking a different degree like maths or chemistry, you may want the flexibility of an iPad so that you have a pencil so that you can do like drawings and shit. I would only really use my iPad to like go back through my notes and highlight or add extra little bits and bobs. And obviously for coursework, you're gonna want to have something with a keyboard to write. So I guess that's what I would say is my personal preference would be a laptop. However, if you can find an iPad with a keyboard that you like, then maybe do that, because it is the best of both worlds. And just have your degree in mind, whether you're going to be doing more drawing and writing by hand, or whether you're going to be doing more typing. Because if it's mainly typing, then laptop will do you fine. But if you're going to want to have the flexibility of being able to do your own handwritten notes as well, then iPad is definitely the option. Other items to bring to uni, I have a video on my TikTok, cheeky plug, of just a few things that I would recommend bringing that aren't on any things to bring to uni lists. If you want any more recommendations, please do let me know. I've got to say, I do think I really ate with my first year uni comm, so there was a lot in there, but I hope you enjoyed. For anyone who's going to university next year, I wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next vlog or video. Bye guys, love you!